On my birthday night, my mom posted a group selfie, everyone at dinner. Caption: "Nothing matters more than being together." Hours before, she had texted, "We're too busy to celebrate." I stayed silent. Then I received a request on Venmo. $1,300 for a restaurant. Without thinking twice, I sent a shocking gift. I turned 30 this year. 30. That number's supposed to mean something, right? A milestone. A checkpoint. But when I woke up on the morning of my birthday, the only ping I got was from the family group chat. "Congratulations." No emojis. No name. No follow-up. Just a gray bubble from my mother's number, swallowed up instantly by my sister's usual chaos. One sending memes about her new puppy chewing up the couch, another dropping a video of her toddler smashing blueberries with a wooden spoon. Not a single person said the words "Happy birthday, Jeff." That morning, I let it go. I told myself it's fine. People are busy. Maybe they were planning something. Maybe they just forgot, which somehow felt less awful than them not caring. Around noon, I texted my mom. Me. "Hey, any plans tonight? Just wondering." It took her an hour and a half to respond. "Mom, we're too busy to celebrate, honey. We'll do something later this month." No explanation. No apology. Just like that. But then, around 8 p.m., I was scrolling through Instagram, half watching my son build a fort in the living room, when I saw it. A selfie. Posted by my mom. They were at a restaurant I knew, expensive, loud, downtown. And there they were. My parents. All three of my sisters. Their partners. Even the toddler and the damn puppy, sitting in someone's lap with a napkin bib. All of them smiling. The caption hit like a slap. "Nothing matters more than being together." I stared at it. I kept staring. There were champagne flutes on the table. Balloons. A little card propped up in the centerpiece that read "Congrats on your new baby." Except it wasn't a baby. It was the dog. My youngest sister had just bought a golden retriever. They had thrown a party for the dog. On my birthday. And they didn't invite me. I didn't reply. I didn't comment. I didn't call. I just sat there, listening to the faint sound of cartoons in the background while my phone buzzed again. A Venmo request. From my mom. $1,300. Memo. "Dinner for everyone, love you." She didn't say a word about the dinner in the chat. Didn't even attempt to explain. Just sent the bill like I was their bank account. Like I was supposed to pay for a dinner I wasn't even invited to. On my birthday. I stared at that request, thumb hovering. I could have ignored it. Declined it quietly. But something cracked open in me then. Years of swallowing things. Years of being the dependable one. The one who pays, the one who helps with rent, the one who lends his car or foots the Airbnb bill for family trips I don't even enjoy. This time, I didn't let it go. I sent back a message instead of money. "Hope dinner was nice. I won't be sending the $1,300. Also, starting this month, I'm done paying Rachel's rent. I've supported her for 2 years. It ends now." I didn't wait for their reaction. I muted the group chat. Put my phone down. And for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. It didn't last long. The next day, hell arrived at my doorstep. The next morning started normal. The kids were at the table eating cereal, cartoons were on low in the background, and I was halfway through my first coffee when the doorbell rang. Not just once. Over and over, like someone was leaning on it. I knew right away who it had to be. Only one person rings like that. I opened the door and there they were. My mom and dad, standing like they were dropping by to borrow sugar. My mom had sunglasses on even though it was cloudy. My dad looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. She didn't wait for me to say a word. Just walked right past me into the house. My dad followed quiet, hands in his jacket pockets. I didn't ask what they were doing here. I already knew. It wasn't about the birthday. Not about the dinner or the dog or even the Venmo. It was about what I didn't do. I didn't send the money. And worse, I said no to Rachel's rent. That was the unspoken contract. I pay, they smile. I stop, they retaliate. She went straight to the kitchen like it was hers. No small talk. No eye contact. She opened the cabinet with the plates, took one out, and dropped it. Shattered. She didn't flinch. I thought I misread it at first. Maybe her grip slipped, Maybe it was an accident. But then she pulled out another and let it fall. Then another. My 6-year-old peeked around the corner and froze. I told the kids to go upstairs. My daughter asked what was happening. I didn't answer. I just told them to go, now. I turned back just in time to see her move to the mugs. She picked out the World's Best Dad one. My son gave me that last year, made it with his school photo glued inside. She held it for a second like she was thinking about it. Then she dropped it. That one didn't shatter, it cracked down the middle and rolled off under the stove. I asked her what she was doing. She didn't respond. Didn't yell. Just kept grabbing whatever she could reach, plates, bowls, a Pyrex dish, dropping them one after the other like she was performing some twisted ritual. My dad stood there the whole time, arms crossed. Not helping. Not stopping her. I told her to stop. Told my dad to get her out. He shrugged. Like he wasn't part of this. Like he hadn't co-signed every time they leaned on me financially for years. Like they hadn't spent my 20s turning me into the family's backup wallet. I wasn't going to scream in front of my kids. But I pulled out my phone. Told them if they didn't leave in the next 30 seconds, I'd call the police. That's when something shifted. My mom froze. My dad finally stepped in. He put a hand on her arm and whispered something I couldn't hear. Then they walked out. Just like that. No explanation. No apology. My floor covered in shards. My kids upstairs trying to make sense of the crash they just heard downstairs. I didn't call the cops. Not because I didn't want to. But because I didn't want my kids to have to watch their grandparents get hauled off in handcuffs. And somehow, I still hoped maybe they'd come to their senses. But I was done pretending. That night, I took pictures of the broken dishes. The cracked tile. I saved the security cam footage of them walking in. Not because I wanted revenge. But because I knew this wasn't over. By the next morning, my house was quiet, but it didn't feel peaceful. The kids kept asking if Grandma was coming back. I told them no, and left it at that. I wasn't going to explain to a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old why their grandparents had come into our house and destroyed our dishes like maniacs. I took the trash out, dumped the last of the broken plates, and checked my phone. 15 missed calls. 7 voicemails. 3 texts from unknown numbers. And 1 new message in the family group chat. It was from Megan, my oldest sister. All it said was, "You're unbelievable." Nothing else. No context. No question. Just judgment. A few minutes later, I got a call from Aunt Lydia. I didn't answer, but she left a voicemail. Her tone was calm, but I could tell she was trying hard to stay neutral. "Jeffrey, sweetheart, I don't know exactly what happened, but your mom is very upset. She says you threatened them. She's crying, and honestly, we're all a little concerned about how this is affecting everyone. I just hope you'll be the bigger person here." The bigger person. That phrase again. Always the one expected to carry, forgive, cover the cost, let it go. Never the one who gets protected. By noon, the version of the story my mom had been spreading reached me. Apparently, according to her, I'd lost it. She said I'd cursed at them, threatened physical violence, that my wife had screamed at them in front of the kids. She wasn't even home when they showed up, and that they were terrified when I pulled out my phone to call the cops. They left out the part where she shattered a dozen dishes in my kitchen like she was on some sort of rage cleanse. Then I got the text from Rachel. "So that's it? You just cut me off? Rent's due tomorrow. You could have said something instead of making everything public. I hope you're proud of yourself." Proud? I didn't even feel angry at that point. Just hollow. Like I'd finally walked out of a job I hated and now had to sit alone in the parking lot figuring out what came next. They still didn't get it. All those years of paying for things quietly. Emergency car payments. That time Megan got scammed by that MLM and I loaned her $2,000 that never came back. Rachel's rent for 24 straight months. My parents' anniversary dinner. Megan's baby shower. The Airbnb for the family trip I didn't even enjoy. Thousands of dollars, handed over without thanks, and the second I say no, suddenly I'm the bad guy. So I wrote something. I didn't rage. I didn't rant. I just posted the truth on Facebook, where every aunt, uncle, cousin, and family friend could see it. Yesterday, my parents entered my home uninvited and began smashing dishes in front of my children. This happened less than 24 hours after they hosted a dinner to celebrate my sister's new puppy, a dinner I wasn't invited to, on my 30th birthday. Then they sent me a Venmo request for $1,300. I declined, and I let them know I would no longer be paying Rachel's rent, which I've covered for 2 years. I am done being used. I'm not angry. I'm just finished. I'm saying this publicly so no one gets to rewrite the story later. I turned off the comments, left it up, and went about my day. By evening, it had spread. I got a text from my cousin Evan. "Yo, your post's blowing up. Aunt Lydia is pissed at your mom. She called her out in the group chat. Everyone's talking." Then my Uncle Mike texted me privately. "About damn time. You've been carrying those girls since college. Let them sink or swim." And suddenly, the silence on my mom's side was different. Not defensive, stunned. She hadn't expected the truth to get out. Hadn't expected people to actually take my side. I didn't reply to anyone. Not that night. But I did take one final step. I called Rachel's landlord and let him know that, effective immediately, I would no longer be the emergency contact or financial backup. I emailed it, too, just to have it in writing. If she needed help, she'd have to ask someone else. The next day, the retaliation got worse. I thought the worst had already happened. I thought smashing dishes in front of my kids was as low as it could go. But I was wrong. I underestimated what happens when selfish people lose control of the one they'd been using. It started quietly. My daughter's school called me first thing in the morning. The receptionist said someone claiming to be my wife's mother had called asking for access to my daughter's school records, because she was concerned about the child's home environment. My wife's mom has been dead for 3 years. That same day, Rachel posted a long, weepy Facebook status about how she was being abandoned by the only man who ever showed up for her. How she was losing her home thanks to cruelty disguised as boundaries. She tagged me. She tagged our mom. She even tagged her ex-boyfriend, the one I paid to move out quietly after he cheated on her, the one who later tried to blackmail her with old photos. Suddenly I was getting messages from people I barely knew. Old classmates. Distant cousins. Strangers with shared friends. People asking what happened, saying Rachel seemed so hurt, so betrayed. They didn't mention the 2 years I covered her rent. They didn't mention that I paid her electric bill just 2 months ago because she forgot. It was due while she was in Miami with her friends. Then things got uglier. That weekend, someone filed a noise complaint against my house. Twice. I live in a quiet neighborhood. We don't throw parties. My wife was at work, and I was reading bedtime stories to my kids when the second call came in. The officer at the door looked almost embarrassed to be there. He said someone had reported screaming and glass breaking. There was none of that. Not even a dish in the sink. On Sunday morning, my car was keyed. Deep scratches, front to back, across the driver's side. A few hours later, my wife's tire was flat. It looked slashed. I didn't accuse anyone, but I didn't have to. There are only so many people who would go that far, and they all share my last name. Still, I stayed quiet publicly. Until the message came. It was a group email. Sent to our extended family. My mother's doing. The subject line was a cry for help. She wrote that I was mentally unwell, that I had alienated the entire family, that my wife was controlling me, and that they were concerned for the children. She included screenshots of old text messages completely out of context, one where I'd said I was drowning in responsibilities, another where I'd asked if she could give me space after a particularly exhausting week. She ended the email by asking everyone to reach out to Jeffrey before it's too late. That's when I lost it. Not because of the lies, but because she dragged my kids into it. She made it sound like my children were in danger, like I was unstable. That crossed a line I didn't even know she had the nerve to step over. I didn't respond to the email. I called my lawyer. I had already been keeping notes. The video footage of the dishes. The noise complaints. The texts. The voicemail from Aunt Lydia. The screenshots from Rachel's post. Now I had a defamation angle, and possibly harassment. But before anything could be filed, something unexpected happened. My cousin Melissa, who had stayed quiet through all of it, sent me a message. Short and to the point. Check the group chat. Now. I opened it. scrolled past the usual chaos. And then I saw it. A video. Posted by Evan, of all people. It was a screen recording of a private Snapchat conversation between Rachel and Megan. They were laughing. Rachel said, "Let's see how long it takes Jeff to crack. He always breaks when Mom plays the kid card." Megan replied, "Bet he calls crying before the end of the week. He's weak when it comes to guilt." The chat exploded. One cousin called them sick. And Lydia went silent. My Uncle Mike chimed in and said, "This is what he's been dealing with for years. You people are parasites." My mom left the chat 5 minutes later. No apology. No explanation. Just gone. But the damage was already done. Their little plan, the guilt campaign, the fake concern, had just been torched publicly. And this time, I wasn't the one holding the match. After Evan dropped that video in the group chat, everything shifted. The fake concern, the passive-aggressive guilt, the gaslighting, all of it turned to silence. Like they'd been caught stealing and didn't know whether to run or pretend it didn't happen. Rachel and Megan didn't even try to defend it. They left the group too. One by one. First Megan. Then Rachel. Then my mom's number disappeared. The silence was better than the noise, but still, it didn't feel like peace. Not yet. Later that night, Melissa called me. I picked up, expecting more family politics. But she didn't waste time. "You've done more for this family than anyone. You don't owe them anything. I don't know why I stayed quiet before. But I'm done watching them twist you." That call did more for me than any apology ever could. She told me some things I didn't know, like how my mom had been complaining to relatives that Jeff doesn't share like he used to. And he's forgetting his roots. For the past year. She'd been laying the groundwork for this meltdown long before I ever said no. I finally saw it for what it was, not just an overreaction, but a long-standing pattern. They didn't miss me. They missed what I gave. My money. My time. My ability to fix things when they broke their lives again. So I started cutting cords. First, I closed the shared family Hulu account they'd all been using under my name. Then the Netflix. The Amazon Prime. I changed all the passwords and removed every email I didn't recognize. Then I went further. I called the family lawyer, the one who'd helped my parents with estate stuff over the years. Told him to take my name off anything connected to them. Financially. Medically. Legally. If anything happened to them, it was their daughter's turn to step up. He didn't argue. Just said he understood. Which made me wonder what he had heard. Next I updated my will. Set up a trust for my kids. Named my wife's brother as the emergency guardian in case anything ever happened to us. I left nothing to my parents or my sisters. Not out of spite, out of clarity. I no longer considered them part of my life. But I wasn't done yet. I went back to the Facebook post. The one where I told the truth. And I added one sentence. "If you've ever benefited from my silence, that era is over." I left the comments open this time. And they poured in. Old friends. Extended family. People who'd heard bits and pieces over the years but never knew the full picture. They all backed me. Some even told me things I never knew. How my mom had badmouthed my wife at a family baby shower. How Megan once bragged that I'd pay for anything if she just acted helpless enough. It was all coming into the light. A week passed. Then another. And for the first time in my adult life, I wasn't fielding last-minute, emergency, money requests. No. "Can you just cover this one thing?" Texts. No guilt. No manipulation. Just quiet. But it didn't stay that way. 3 weeks later, I got a knock at the door. Not a stranger. Not the police. It was my dad. And he didn't come alone. I opened the door and saw my dad standing there with Megan and Rachel behind him. No mom. That was the first surprise. He didn't say anything right away. Just stood there, like he was waiting for me to guess why they came. Rachel was in sunglasses, arms crossed like she was guarding herself from the weather, the truth, or both. Megan looked like she'd been crying, but I didn't trust it. She could cry on cue since we were kids. I didn't invite them in. My dad finally spoke. "We need to talk." I stepped outside, shut the door behind me. The kids were playing inside. I wasn't letting that circus back into their space. Rachel started in first. No apology. Just a statement. "We're losing the apartment." Not I. We. Like I was still part of the team. Megan jumped in next. We know we screwed up. Okay? But we're still family. You can't just leave us hanging. I didn't say anything. I just waited. There was more. There always was. My dad sighed like he was carrying the weight of the world. He wasn't. That had been me for years. Your mother's not speaking to anyone. She's unraveling. Your post embarrassed her. Your aunt stopped inviting her to anything. It's tearing the family apart. That last part made me laugh, quietly. Tearing the family apart? What family? The one where no one remembered my birthday. The one where my children watched their grandmother shatter dishes and their great-aunt told me to be the bigger person while they twisted knives behind my back? Rachel finally said it. Can you just help with first and last month's rent? Just to get us stable. Please. I looked at her. Then at Megan. Then at my dad. I told them the truth. You're here because your plan didn't work. You tried guilt. You tried public pressure. You even tried scaring my kids. You crossed every line. And now that people see you for who you are, you've got nowhere else to go. So you come back here, like always, thinking maybe I'll cave. I let the silence stretch. Rachel looked down. Megan looked at my dad. He didn't look at me. I'm done, I said. Megan started to speak, but I cut her off. And before you ask, no, I'm not deleting the post. No, I'm not letting it go. And no, I'm not helping with a damn thing. You can figure it out the way adults do, or don't. But I'm not your net anymore. I turned around and walked back inside. They didn't follow. That was the last time I saw them in person. A few days later, I got a message from Melissa. She'd visited my mom. Said she was finally starting to realize how badly she'd screwed everything up. Apparently Lydia and a couple other relatives had confronted her. Told her the truth. I didn't abandon the family. They had abandoned me the second I stopped paying. She still hasn't called. I don't expect her to. Maybe someday. But the door's not wide open anymore. It's cracked, maybe, for my kids if they ask. But me? I've built a new foundation. Without them, life after cutting them off is quieter. Lighter. There's no dramatic texts, no surprise Venmo requests, no dishes shattering on my floor. Just dinner with my kids. Real birthdays. Honest peace. And I'll take that over being the dependable one any day.